So there were whistleblowers screaming from the rooftops, and the Department of Justice and the FBI and Treasury and FinCEN and HUD and the United States Department of Agriculture and even the police over at the Federal Reserve, they weren't listening. There were people screaming from the rooftops, whistleblowers screaming from the rooftops, according to Christopher Schwecker, the head of the criminal division of the FBI. He officed for a while, I guess, down there in T.C. Jester in Houston off the 610 Northwest Loop. Right around the corner from where I worked for years. I worked for the Merrick brothers, Chris Schwecker. Isn't that fascinating? The same Merrick family that's involved in that Colony Ridge mess up there in Montgomery County. Because you see, Colony Ridge was cooked up over there to cut and shoot and Conroe. And the development actually straddles the Montgomery County, Liberty County line at Plum Grove, north of Porter. I know that country very well, Mr. Schwecker. And I know one thing, if I know anything at all. The clandestine black ops money pipeline from looted savings and loans at banks and pension funds and, mortgage companies and et cetera, so on and so forth. Hundreds of billions, even trillions, were looted and laundered internationally over a period of years. Yeah, I mean, hundreds of billions. While the FBI and the Department of Justice looked the other way. It wasn't that they weren't listening, is that they were actively looking the other way because the Triad Development Gang there with North and Secord and Bush and Reagan and Bush and Dick Cheney, that whole bunch of clandestine black op warriors were financing all their black operation, top secret, unapproved, unconstitutional criminal weapons networks and human trafficking and what they call, Dope Incorporated. Remember old Dope Incorporated? I bet you Chris Schwecker knows about Dope Incorporated. Yeah, buddy. So, the head of the criminal division of the FBI says that there were whistleblowers screaming bloody murder from the rooftops. They were screaming bloody murder from the rooftops, and the Department of Justice and the FBI just weren't listening. There's a lot more to it than that, Mr. Schwecker. They were actively stuffing their pockets. Like Harold Blackshear, by the way, the president of the Western Bank, Westheimer. The old FBI agent, Harold Blackshear, he was FBI and a bank regulator too. And he was on the boards of several other banks that got robbed and collapsed. Isn't that just wow? What are the coincidences of that, Chris Schwecker? So, to my old buddy Patrick Lovell and Eric Vaughn, I go back to the days of Mark White and Governor Ann Richards. You guys weren't even in puberty yet, were you? You were still smelling bicycle seats, right, Patrick Lovell? Tell him, Bill Black about how all this clandestine looting of the United States, the weaponization, the criminalization, and the treason that's been committed against the American public for the theft of so much money, it's just unbelievable. It staggers the mind, the money that these sons of bitches stole, while the FBI and the Department of Justice just weren't listening. Right, Schwecker? Man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, I bet you never expected me to be listening to that conversation, did you? Huh, Mr. Schwecker? Yeah, I just happened to tune into the old Government Accountability Project. Yeah, Mark Law knows who this boy is, so doesn't Professor Black. And I find June Carboni there. I got a sister with the last name Carboni. She married into them Carbonis. She sure did. I don't know if they're out of Ohio, though, but they're out of Massachusetts, the Carbonis my sister married into. Small world, isn't it, June Carbone? So Patrick Lovell. Yeah, back in the days of Ann Richards. George Bush Sr., Ronald Reagan. Back in the days of the triad. Holy shit, huh, Donald Trump? Don Trump and the triad and Martin Harris's hat. Yeah, buddy. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to post this one for the record. And I hope Mr. Schwecker will write out a little statement about not listening and nobody was paying attention and yada, yada, yada. It's a lot more complicated than that. It's a whole lot more complicated than that, Mr. Schwecker. The Justice Department, the FBI, and the executive, and a bunch of Reagan, Bush, Noriega, Gene Hoffenfuss, the Marcoses, the Shah of Iran. God, they were stealing money hand over fist with Oliver North and Averill Harold Blackshear and that bunch around Colony Ridges up there to Conroe, Texas. There's a whole bunch involved in stealing hundreds of billions and trillions. Chris Schwecker. We're going to leave it right there, ladies and gentlemen. And the links and the information you need are listed below. And y'all have a wonderful day.